In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a New York style Irish cream cheesecake. Hey guys, my name is Erin Courtney and I am completely obsessed with cheesecakes. And not just any cheesecakes, but New York style cheesecakes. And today's recipe for Irish cream cheesecake, it is a New York style creamy cheesecake that is made with, you guessed it, Irish cream liquor on a chocolate crust and a chocolate whipped cream topping. There are a couple different places you can find the recipe for this cheesecake. The first is my website, cheferinskitchen.com. I'll post the link below. And also, you can find it in my cookbook, All I Want Is Cheesecake, which is available at amazon.com. If you like New York style cheesecake, there are over 75 recipes in this book, and there is an entire chapter dedicated to cheesecakes made with liquor. It's called Happy Hour Cheesecakes. And I can't think of a better way to make some cheesecakes by throwing some liquor in them. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe. That way you know whenever a new video pops up, and it's free. Let's do this. We're gonna start out by double wrapping a 9-inch springform pan with heavy-duty aluminum foil. Heavy-duty aluminum foil does not tear nearly as easily as the regular aluminum foil, and it keeps it more protected since we're gonna be baking this in a water bath. For the crust, I typically like to use an Oreo for this recipe, but you can use a chocolate graham cracker crust in its place. Just make sure you pack it down real nice. I like to go ahead and place that springform pan inside a 12-inch cake pan and bake that at 350 degrees for 7 minutes. While that crust is baking, we're going to go ahead and get started on this fantabulous cheesecake filling. Start by beating the cream cheese with cornstarch and sugar. You can use a medium-sized mixing bowl with an electric hand mixer, but I highly prefer my standing mixer because it makes life a little bit easier whenever you have to beat stuff and then walk away. Using softened cream cheese when making a cheesecake is absolutely crucial because then you are less likely to end up with big old chunks of cream cheese in your smooth and velvety chunky cheesecake. No thank you, I'll go with the smooth. And that is exactly why you add cream cheese in batches instead of dropping all of it in there together. It mixes much easier and it's a lot smoother. It's time to add in our extracts and our eggs, and we're going to beat this just until it is combined and smooth. Gently scrape down the sides as needed. Last but most definitely not least, we are adding in our Irish cream and heavy cream. Continue to mix just until it's creamy. Once this is done mixing, we're going to scrape down the sides, scrape down that beater because you don't want to miss any of your cheesecake batter. If you're anything like me, don't forget to inhale the scent of the Irish cream cheesecake before you scoop it into the pan. If you're using a rubber spatula, we used to call this the $100 tool in the restaurant industry because it adds up more than you think and you don't want to waste any of this cheesecake batter. For the water bath, I usually use about 3 cups of water. You just want it to be about 1 inch up the sides. It's time to pop this baby in the oven at 350 degrees for about an hour and 15 minutes. Oh, ain't she purty? If you think she's purty now, wait until we dress her up. After it's done baking, grab those oven mitts because you don't want to use your bare hands on this unless you like getting burned, and then pull that out of the pan and set it on a cooling rack. Cool your cheesecake completely, and I typically like to pop mine in the freezer overnight. Oh, would you look at that? We have a frozen cheesecake. Where did that come from? Oh well, we're going to use it. Unlatch the side of your springform pan and let it sit there for just a minute. Once you remove the sides, we're going to take a piece of parchment paper, put it on top of the cheesecake, and then flip it over. Using a sharp knife, I've got a little paring knife here, and we're going to go right underneath the crust and the bottom of the pan, just to loosen it all the way around, because if you try to release it too quickly, then half your crust is going to come up, and then that's not going to be a good day. It's time to flip our cheesecake back over because we're going to top this baby with some delicious chocolate whipped cream. The chocolate whipped cream I used in this recipe is just a mixture of chocolate ganache and frozen whipped topping that has been thawed, and you just stir that together. Now all we're doing here is spreading this on top and putting it in the freezer to set for about 30 minutes so that we can cut into it. When it's time to cut the cheesecake, I always make sure that the cheesecake is frozen because that's what gives it those sharp edges that I'm completely obsessed with, because I have an obsession with cheesecake, as I've mentioned 30 times before at least. And as you can see here, I wipe my knife between each cut because that also contributes to cleaner slices. And when it comes time to putting the cheesecake slices back together, I like to separate them with little pieces of parchment paper that I've cut into rectangles to keep the cheesecake from sticking together. This makes it a lot easier when it's time to serve. This last garnish is optional, but why wouldn't you want to put whipped cream on top of your cheesecake? That's what I'm thinking too. So I've got whipped cream, and you can do chocolate chips like I use here, or chocolate covered espresso beans. And now for the moment of truth. We get to eat it, or I get to eat it. I mean, if you make it, then you'll get to eat it too, but I'm getting ready to eat it. Seriously? Why does that have to be so good? Oh my God. Oh. That wraps it up for today. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.